Episode 5, Chapter 5, Two Swords. He rested his head on Overall's lap, and the gentle hand caressing his short hair eventually lulled him to sleep. Overall studied the beautiful face, and how he longed to kiss those rosy, moist lips. And that night, since he had drank too much, Overall was able to work up the courage to steal a kiss. And when he sat up, he saw that Kain's eyes were wide open. Since Kain wasn't moving or saying anything, Oberon, emboldened, gave his friend another kiss and another. He caressed Kain's beautiful face with one hand, and with the other he lifted the shirt to feel about the silky, well-toned torso. And when his hand reached the masculine reproductive organ, Kain sat up, and he jumped for his car keys before running away from the situation. Oberon ran after Kain, apologizing the entire way, and before he was able to reach him, Kain had driven away. Oberon returned to his apartment, and he paced about the living room, and he picked up his cell phone to call Kain. And it was then when he realized that Kain had left his cell phone. He had also left his police uniform and his grandpa's revolver. Good. He left most of his things here, said Oberon, pacing about the living room while carrying the revolver. Now he has no other choice but to return, and we will have a civilized discussion, and I will beg forgiveness, and after he forgives me, we can pretend like nothing ever happened. Oberon spent the night rehearsing his apology. As for Kain, he drove without any sense of direction, and since he was flustered, he almost ran over something that rushed past his car. He stopped abruptly to get his bearing, and when he stopped, he saw a very familiar-looking black dog. Due to his size and the shape of his tail and ears, Kain guessed that it might be a wolf. And he opened his car door and he whistled at it. The black dog barked at Kain while wagging his tail. He eventually jumped into the passenger seat. Rough night, asked Kain. The dog barked in response. And why did he have to kiss me? That stupid horn dog ruined everything, said Kain, venting to the mud. The dog whimpered in response. His conversation was interrupted when a police officer knocked on his window, and the officer asked, Sir, have you been drinking? I drank 3 hours ago, but not much, mind you, and I think it should already be out of my system, said Kain. Hey, I know you, said the officer, lowering the light. You're the new kid, the one who got bitten by the vampire. The guys from the morning shift told me all about you, and let me see the bite mark. Kain showed his neck to the police officer. Good God, it looks ghastly. What was your name? Kain, like the guy who murdered his brother Abel. It is actually Kain with a K. It is derived from Kanye, which means better version of what came before, or warrior, said Kain, explaining why he was named the way he was. Cool dog, said the officer, coming over to look at the black, wolf-looking dog. He's not mine, I almost ran him over. He's the reason why I halted so abruptly, said Kain. So he's a stray, said the officer, petting the dog's nape. Neat. I have been looking for a new canine recruit, and he certainly has the makings of a formidable police dog. He has a wolf's tail and ears, and dogs with wolf's blood are difficult to tame, or so I read, said Kain. He looks pretty tame to me, and let me take him off your hands, said the officer, opening the door. The dog growled before showing his teeth, and the moment that the officer reached for the nape, the creature bolted, and he was completely lost in the night. Well, that sucks, said the officer, and folding his arm, he said, Are you all right to drive home by yourself? You can escort me home if you have nothing better to do, said Kain dryly. Just for that sass, you're going to have to prove to me that you're sober. Now step out of the vehicle, sir, ordered the officer. Kain took a deep breath before doing what he was told, and he walked in a straight line, and he did all the balancing tests, and he was saved from the situation by Officer Lola. And since she had ran the rookie that was bothering Kain, he was able to run away from the situation. And he drove to the nearest house or apartment that could provide him shelter. And that night he ended up inconveniencing his friend Alexia and his fiancé Byron. And since Byron was busy writing, a bored, half-asleep Alexia was the one who opened the door. My prayers have been answered. Hallelujah, joked Alexia. He had a maiden build, had dyed blonde hair, and the type of boring face that one never gives a second glance to. I'm too drunk to drive home. Can I crash in your couch? Asked Kain. You can crash anywhere you want, said Alexia, taking Kain's hand. And he added, the bed is more comfortable. Let us both crash there. Alexia, growled Kain. I kid. Not. It has been such a dull night, said Alexia, looking at his fiance's office. Byron opened the door just to say, "Keep it down. You're breaking my concentration." "Fine, we'll make love as quietly as two church mouses," joked Alexia. Byron brought out a condom from his junk drawer before asking. From his junk drawer before saying, "Do whatever you want, just use protection." Alexia, flustered, went into the bedroom to scream into a pillow, and he hadn't expected such an indifferent response from the man that he loved. Love was a strong word. Fondness better describe what he felt for Byron. Though with Byron ignoring him all the time, the only thing he felt for the man was irritation. And at times Alexia felt that he was living by himself, and if his mother didn't travel so much, he would go back to living with her. "And what's the matter, Alexia?" said Kain, sitting down beside his friend. "I'm lonely. I know that doesn't compare with your worlds, but even so, I cannot help but feel miserable," said Alexia. "Well, Byron did give you permission," said Kain while thinking of Eugenia. "And she had an open marriage, and she regularly cheated on her partner Santiago, and he cheated on her as well." "I don't want his permission," said Alexia, hugging Kain. "I want him to pay attention to me, if only just a little." "Well, he did acknowledge your existence 5 seconds ago," said Kain. "And the guy's a writer. Let him work when the inspiration strikes him." "He isn't a writer, he's a reporter, and he hasn't published anything decent ever," barked Alexia. "All the more reason for you to be supportive instead of a critic, and maybe he will pay attention to you more if you at least pretended to care about what he's passionate about," advised Kain. "You sound just like my mother," whined Alexia. "Have you even read any of his books?" asked Kain. "I tried once, but I found it boring," said Alexia. "I will read it to you," said Kain, reaching for a book. After listening to the book for 20 minutes, Alexia fell into a heavy slumber, and Kain smiled thinly. His plan had worked. He flopped off the pillow before making himself comfortable in Alexia's bed, and with a warm body beside him, he was able to fall into a heavy slumber. He felt safe knowing that Byron was awake, typing away, and if there was a home intruder, there was going to be someone awake to tackle the problem. That night he dreamed of Oberon kissing him, and in the dream world he surrendered to Oberon's dexterous finger, and when the man drew him into the mating embrace, he felt sharp teeth biting his neck, and the dream was warping into a nightmare, and once again he was lying in that cold, desolate beach with the moon hanging overhead, and he tried to move but he wasn't able to, and he was completely paralyzed under the mercy of Eric, who was pointing a gun at his temple. He awoke when Byron shook him by the shoulder, and Kain was screaming at the top of his lungs, and he sounded as if he was dying. So Oberon had no other choice but to stop writing to check up the uninvited guests. "I'm sorry I'm such a burden, Grandpa," said Kain apologetically, and in the darkness Byron's silhouette resembled Grandpa Raphael. "I'm not your grandpa," said Byron dryly. "I know, but I wish you were," said Kain, remembering that his grandpa was dead. "If you're done having your nightmare, I gotta get back to work," said Byron, returning to his office. It wasn't every day that he actually had inspiration. Kain settled back to bed and he stared at the roof, unable to sleep, and he turned his head to look at Alexia, and his friend was staring at him. "Have you gone to a psychologist to talk about your nightmares?" asked Alexia. "I spoke to Unla about it, and she could recommend that I go to a support group for men and women that have suffered as I did. I do not even know why she wants me to go there. It was not as if there was any penetration. It wasn't as if I was any penetration. I wasn't fed up. I was drugged and beaten by a lunatic. Nothing else happened," said Kain. "I do not have experience in that department. And have you talked to Malik about it?" asked Alexia. "I'm not in the mood to talk about it again. I already told everyone who was here to listen to what happened, and it hasn't helped me feel better about the situation," protested Kain, hiding under the bed sheets. And he added, smiling sadly, "It is funny to think that half a year ago, the biggest problem I had was Karina pressuring me into marrying her." "Why didn't you marry her?" asked Alexia. "Because she always leaves me as soon as she finds someone more interesting. And it is not as if I said no. I told her that she was going to have a trial period, and she dated me and only me for a year. Then only then would I marry her, and a few days later she replaced me for Bruno. Well, the joke is on her because at least I love her, while the strongest emotion Bruno feels for her is irritation," barked Kain. "And what makes you think that Bruno doesn't love Karina?" asked Alexia, gossiping. "Call it a hunch, and And there have also been small incidents here and there that made me realize that he doesn't love her. In fact, I think this is the very reason why he's still with her, because he prefers to be loved than to love and to be rejected, said Kain. I think you're just projecting, Kain, said Alexia. The friend gossiped about Karina's relationship with Bruno for half an hour, and as he was falling asleep again, Kain asked, Alexia, have you ever been kissed by a woman? Have you? Joked Alexia, and he added, yes, I had kissed women before. And did you like it? Asked Kain. Meh, said Alexia. Then again, with enough booze, you can poke anyone you find tolerable. Back in college, I dated a girl just to make my mother happy. I tried to like women, I really did, but I wasn't able to. Did you always know that you like men? Asked Kain. Did you always know that you like women? Asked Alexia, drawing closer. And he retreated when he felt his engagement ring around his finger, and he removed it to place it beside his bedstand. I was taught that I should like women by my grandpa, and he even gave me my first nudie magazine, said Kain. But I don't know, when I looked at those pages, I didn't feel attraction. I felt disgust even. They were also grotesquely exhibiting their reproductive organ. But you ended up sleeping with a woman in the end, said Alexia, resting his head against Kain's shoulder. Yes, Karina was my first time, and she made me feel many wonderful things, but also painful things as well, said Kain. And did you kiss her down there? Asked Alexia. Not the first time. It isn't my favorite thing to do. I can't stand the smell, and the taste is repulsive, said Kain. Byron doesn't taste like roses either, but I do so enjoy watching the effect that my kisses have on his stoic disposition, said Alexia, smiling slyly. Oh, but don't kiss me last night, said Kain finally, and instead of staying and talking about boundaries like a normal person, I fled like a thief in the night. A kiss doesn't mean anything. No matter how many times I was kissed by a woman, it didn't turn me heterosexual, said Alexia flatly. Just accept his apology and go back to being friends. I also allowed him to feel me up, said Kain. No fair, and I was here first, protested Alexia with an over-exaggerated display of grief. And I have been your friend for longest, and you allowed that stranger to kiss you and to fill you up all your dirty pillows. Alexia knew that Kain was allergic to most adult language, and he would blush if he so much heard the word nipple. Kain had been raised by two old prudes, and Kain laughed when he heard Alexia's euphemism for breast. Well, you did leave me for Byron, so take that, said Kain. Take what? Asked Alexia, not getting the reference. It is from a stupid vision novel I'm playing, said Kain, and that is not relevant to this case, Your Honor. The point is that I allowed Oberon to kiss me, and I could have stopped him at any point, but I allowed him to kiss me, and I allowed him to fill me up, and I allowed him to touch the most sensitive part of my body. And when he touched it, I freaked out. It is stupid. Lots of women had touched it before, and I have been super blasé about it. I don't know how I should feel about it. It isn't important how you should feel about it. Tell me, how do you feel about it? Asked Alexia. Confused, said Kain. With your permission, I will clear up your confusion, said Alexia, sitting up. Just do what you must, said Kain, folding his arms. Alexia kissed Kain, and Kain felt neither attraction nor disgust. He felt absolutely nothing. Alexia pouted when he saw the lack of response to his kiss. Alexia proceeded to unbutton Kain's pajama, and Kain stopped Alexia when he saw the door slightly ajar, and he fancied that he had seen Byron washing them, and since he had been cheated on before, Kain didn't allow Alexia to continue. I was thinking, Alexia, Byron may give you permission, but I think that he's equally hopes that you won't cheat on him. I know what it is like to be cheated on, and I in good consciousness refuse to be the lover in this story, said Kain. Alexia settled down, and he turned his back on Kain, and he proceeded to pretend to sleep. And Kain started petting Alexia's hair, and the youth eventually fell asleep in spite of himself. That's the end of that chapter. Bye-bye and God bless.